If you can see right now, so this is the output of one of the slide that I was creating before. So it were using kind of like a GitHub repository. It's about Moshi. It is a like real-time AI dialogue, open source software. So it is actually creating what is Moshi. So key Moshi feature, full duplex, real-time, ultra low latency, only like 160 millisecond, inner monotone, and on how Moshi work. It is using a Mimi, which is a neural audio codec, dual transformer, and streaming inference, and so on. And this is Office Hour 43. So the first thing I would like to share is that over the last couple of weeks, we also have been working through this one. So I think that you will also be familiar with this one. So we were working on the iteration 2 weeks for a while. But also we realized that when we are working on the iteration of 2 weeks, then when at the end of the iteration, then we have something to share with you. But right now we are actually having 2 office hours in one iteration. So it means it make the second iteration week having like not much update, because at this one we still in development in order to have something to show you. And also after Lunar New Year, I have thinking with the team that perhaps that we need to have more time for the team to actually finishing the development planning, back-end development, R&D, and also QA as well. Otherwise we will just see some feature that having bug and so on. So this make us the decision that we will having the office hour that in the Tuesday of the following of the iteration. So it means when the iteration fully working and finished, we will have something to documenting and review internally first, and then after that we will have the office hour in the like next 1 day or 2 days, and we can show with you and demo a new feature and so on. So that is going to be the feature moving forward, and it's also impacting the bug requests and so on as well. Because I think there's sometimes that you are raising some bug and you expect that it going to be fixed in a couple of days and so on, but actually that is not the way that we are working. When the iteration start, normally we have the backlog that already be filed what we are going to do. So it means like you can raise into rig and so on in the channel, and then we will raise into the backlog, which is in to do. And when the iteration start, we normally will pick the priority item on that backlog, and we make that in, and normally the iteration will be locked at that point. And if you are raising some bug during this iteration, the earliest chance is going to be fit in the next iteration, and you can expect that in the end of iteration or something. That is the way that we are going to work in the future. Yeah. So I think that is quick update on how we are going to work in the future. Next one I would like to share is what new in AgenticFlow. This is display in the chat log. Actually, you can really look into this and see, but I'm going to open and show everyone right as now. Let me refresh this page. I also share that instead. Yeah, take a moment. Wait, why? I think there's some problem that causing, so I need to so I think let me just brief you what is new. What we are improving is actually we are adding a bunch of new skill to AgenticFlow. And what you can find out it one is in this one .github.agenticflow.skills. Okay, let me share this tab as well. So you should be able to see this one. And what we are adding over the week is we believe that AgenticFlow is already in a good shape of functionality, but to make it more powerful, actually we can add it one more on skill. And this is one in here. So we before I think we only have like few default skill from Anthropic, and also the AgenticFlow skill, and also the AI Safe 2 framework that we talked together with Vincent. But over the week we are actually adding a lot of like interesting skill that learning from OpenAI or other creator as well. So right now we are having 46 skill across 12 category. So it's including like AgenticFlow skill. This one you already familiar. Imagine. So this one is kind of like a optimized flow to use image generation. It's going to use agentic workflow with the image generation, or maybe local AI API provider. So it can work both using AgenticFlow, not using AgenticFlow. And one of the interesting thing is the slide deck. So you know that I really like the way that NotebookLM creating slide, but I also don't like the way that they do not allow me to prompt or changing the way that I want in a structured way, right? So I was always would like to have like a agent that can transforming idea into a NotebookLM style in the slide, and now we can do it. Later, I'm going to show you how this slide deck works. You can call that one as AgenticFlow, NotebookLM slide creator. Okay, so this is slide deck on this part. And next one is we also having some Xiaohongshu infographic series. So this one, Xiaohongshu, is kind of like a platform in China, and also they having a lot of like kinds of like visual creation and layout, the cover image, the comic, the infographic, article illustrator. So this skill is actually adapted from a very creator. So he shared that online with the license MIT. So his name is Baoyu. So actually you can search about him, GitHub. Let me search for this one. You can search for him is Baoyu GitHub. You can click on here. So actually, he was sharing quite a lot of skill. It's having like 9,300 star. I star him as well. And you will see that this is, he having a lot of like good skill, and you can see. So actually it can create cute, fresh, warm, and bold, minimal, retro, pop, and notion, and chartboard. So I mean, we can have access to Nano Banana too, but maybe we cannot creating a very good outcome just because we are not prompting is good enough. But luckily, right now we have skill, so we can actually copy the skill that Baoyu already consolidate in here, and it can do some really good item. You know that in Instagram and also so everything, right? So these kinds of content is very addicted. So if you're looking at your wife or your children is browsing Instagram, they are browsing and also they just swipe a piece of content. So if you're using this skill, actually you can create kinds of like very good content in very easy manner. So you can create your content generation engine. That's the infographic. So he can also using some kinds of like layout review, and he making some style of the slide. So like craft handmade claymation. Wow, this is very nice, I think. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of like process. So he did a very good prompting already. Actually we can come here and clone from him, or you can also taking directly from, our skill list, because actually what we are doing is we just adapting his skill, into the, like a catalog, so that you can easier choose the one from the Ishi app. Yeah, so Ishi is having a lot of skill in here. And second thing, we also incorporate the OpenAI, skill list. Okay. This is, wait, let's say, OpenAI skill, GitHub. The second source that we are incorporating is OpenAI skill. So OpenAI, they also curated a few skills that's really powerful for them. For example, like develop web game, docs, or Figma, and so on, and even like Notion and so on. So these are good skills that already curated by OpenAI. So I think that is also very useful for you as well. So what we did is we consolidate them into an AgenticFlow. The Pixel ML Skills Catalogue. And actually this is a source for Ishi to browsing. So if you are having Ishi and you go into agent skill, it will load directly from this skill catalog, and then you can actually starting to use that. So allow me to share my screen on my Ishi so that I will show you like how does it look like. Okay, it's cool. Actually, I was giving an agent a tool to do, like just clone a GitHub repository about capacity, how to research, and then I just give it a task using AgenticFlow GOM 4.5 Air, and I'm asking it to clone this repo, and then using slide deck skill to create slide about this. And it's was running for a very long time. I think I don't know why it's 17 minutes, but it actually take quite a lot of time. Can you open it? But let's see the result. I think this is one is quite big file. Let me see. It can open.
The slide deck should now be opening in PowerPoint. You can view the 15-slide presentation about the Carpathy Auto Research Autonomous AI Research System.
Okay. I think that there's something wrong about this one. I think when we're creating, it was failing on some part, and it only able to create a few slides. So this is how you are talking to it. So it's going to kind of like creating the rest of slide. It's actually using a workflow that in my AgenticFlow workspace, and using kind of like my credit and token in order to create those images. So it actually to break down the slide instruction and then start to create a new slide on top of that. Oh, I think I have another one that, so let's give this one is running, but I think we have another one that I have, where is Moshi? But if you can see right now, so this is the output of one of the slide that I was creating before. So it was using kind of like a GitHub repository. It's about Moshi. It is a like real-time AI dialogue, open source software. So it is actually creating what is Moshi. So key Moshi feature, full duplex, real-time, ultra low latency, only like 160 millisecond, inner monotone, and on how Moshi work. It is using a Mimi, which is a neural audio codec, dual transformer, and streaming inference, and so on. And it's also available across platforms like PyTorch, Python, Rust, and web client. And finally, it's the use case. It's like real-time voice assistant, interactive dialogue system, and so on. So this one is actually the outcome of the slide deck skill that I will created. So all I did is I just asking Ishi to using the slide deck skill in order to creating a slide about this GitHub repository. So I anticipate that you can also doing the same with whatever topic that you would like to generate slide. And also NotebookLM, you have absolutely no control on how they composing a new slide and so on. This one, you have full control because actually you can talk to Ishi or maybe any of the other agent that you are using, Cloud Code or something. But you can actually telling them that, okay, this is the structure that I want, and what is the color and what is the structure. You should generate in this is instead of like 5 slides, you should generate 20 slides, for example. So those are really good one. And how you are going to install this skill in Ishi. So it's very simple. So let me show you. And actually access to skill in here, actually in new version that I'm working on in Ishi, I move here. But normally in your normal version, you can click here and you go into agent skill. It is entry to the same. And if you go here, you will see like the 46 skill that I just mentioned to you. There's a lot of thing and good thing about this one. And you just scroll down a bit and you will see that there's a slide deck skill and you click install. And basically this skill is actually like doing something like it will transform information. You can kind of like read me. The UX is not good. I'm still cooking on that. But basically what it does is that it's helping you to kind of like understand how it's going to work. And you just install. And what you did is just like what I did here. I just like tell the agent just using the skill. Let me scroll up. Just clone this repository and then just writing understand and use slide deck. So that's all that you need to do. Just tell the agent to do it. You can using maybe another model, which is good or better at the understanding, but I'm using the built-in model of the AgenticFlow GLM, and this is quite okay, and it is starting to do some part of that. So I think this is have some part is still working on this one, so it will rely on like how complex and also the AgenticFlow platform at that point. You will need to either install the AgenticFlow MCP server in here, or you install the CLI that we mentioned before so that it can actually using. So I will recommending you to using the CLI because actually it was designed to be faster and less token consumption for the agent to use. And also because we have a lot of skill in here, so you can actually exploring them, maybe starting with some canvas design or comic, cover image, compress, and so on and so on. So these are quite good that you can use. And when you are doing and also testing in Ishi a lot, and you would like to work on AgenticFlow, what you can do is to zip the file. So you can click on this folder. This will open the skill folder of Ishi. And then what you only need to do is to use right click and zip the file of that skill. And then you upload that into AgenticFlow. So I'm going to do it slide agent. For example, like this. So what you need to do is you go into skill and you switch on and then you click add and you add a new skill. And then this slide deck.zip is actually exactly the same with the skill that you have. And then you just upload that. So it's going to be loaded into your AgenticFlow folder and your agent can starting to use this. But there's one thing that I think you need to modify this one is that this skill will need to be kind of like modified a bit, because this skill was designed to be used by the CLI. So it will need a machine environment in order to run that. And in AgenticFlow, we don't have a machine because it is serverless, so it's not able to create. So some of the skill, for example, the slide deck skill, is actually might not be able to running very well, because actually it's requiring a machine with a the file accept in order to like query the file, to run the code and so on. So you need to adapt this one a bit by like just chat to the model. I would suggest that you are using some smart model, for example, like Sonnet 4.5, and then you can ask it to modify this skill until it's done. I haven't tried it yet, but theoretically it should work that way. Just that because the environment on the cloud and also environment on your computer is totally different. So it means you need to modify. You will replacing your hard disk with the file system. You need to point this agent into a file system so that it will know like where's the source of the data. And also you need to enable the code execution. You switch on this one so that it will have an environment to do some code execution. But this slide deck is not designed to running on the cloud AgenticFlow yet. But maybe the other skill can also work as well. And what you also can modify is that you can click on plugin like this one, and for example, you equip this image to the agent, and then you would like to using a skill that say, for example, create a banner, a skill. Then instead of like using the image generation native in the skill, you can point out to the agent that, hey, I have this capability in my agent already. So instead of like using a random image generation tool, please use AgenticFlow _ generate image, and it's going to kind of like help you to replacing the part that are already working on the platform. So I think that's pretty much it. So we have quite a lot of skill, 46 skill, so it's a lot. Adapting from two very good source. One is OpenAI and one is the Baoyu, which I saw it on the China internet. And I think this is also quite interesting to me. So I hope that it's also useful for you. All right. So I think that's it on the what's new in AgenticFlow. We're also adding some trick and small other thing in case of stability, and also adding log or some tool in order to capturing the error log, so that when someone is having some bug and so on, we can trace back. So in the next few iteration, we will still continue to doing this way as a business as usual. So Rick is going to be your contact point in the Discord. So if you have any question, please write to Rick. What he did is he going to capture that information, and then he will create an internal ticket to our backlog, and then that backlog will going to be the to-do list for the team in the next iteration. So that is how we can keep to improving the platform over and over time. Yeah. So I think that's it on the skill. So what else? Let's move to the next topic. Next topic is we talk about OpenClaw. Okay, you will see that why I was I plan to talk about OpenClaw, but I'm going to open this one. By the way, this stream 22 hours ago, so it's very urgent, and this is like the biggest AI event of the year. So I think this is saying something that really interesting to us. Okay, so when Jensen talk, we should listen. Let's play and watch this together.
So Peter Steinberger's here, and he wrote a piece of software. It's called OpenClaw, and I don't know if he realized how successful it's going to be, but the importance is profound. OpenClaw is the #1. It's the most popular open source project in the history of humanity, and it did so in just a few weeks. It exceeded what Linux did in 30 years, and it is that important. It will do. Well, this is all you do, okay? We're announcing our support of it. Let me just quickly go through this. I want to show you a couple things. You type this into a console, and it goes out, it finds OpenClaw, it downloads it, it builds you an AI agent, and then you could tell it whatever else you need to do. So let's take a look.
An open source project just dropped. Andre Karpathy just launched something called research is a huge deal.
You give an AI agent a task, go to sleep, it runs 100 experiments overnight, keeping what works and killing what doesn't.
I really love what my stuff enables that person to do. And I had like one guy told me like he installed it as his 60-year-old dad, and like they made beer, connected the machine via Bluetooth to OpenClaw, and then we automated everything, including the whole website for people to order.
Der Lobster lager fertig sein.
Hundreds of people are queuing up for lobsters in Shenzhen. OpenClaw.
You want to build OpenClaw with OpenClaw.
Everyone is talking about OpenClaw, but what OpenClaw?
Believe it or not, there's already a claw con.
Incredible. Now, I illustrated effectively what OpenClaw is in this way, so that all of you can understand it, but let's just think what happened. What is OpenClaw? It connects, it's an agentic system. It calls and connects to large language models. So the first thing it has resources that it manages. It could access tools, it could access file systems, it could access large language models. It's able to do scheduling. It's able to do cron jobs. It's able to decompose a prompt that you gave it into step by step by step. It could spawn off and call upon other sub-agents. It has I/O. You could talk to it in any modality you want. You could wave at it and it understands you. You could talk to any modality you want. It sends you messages. It texts you, sends you email. So it's got I/O. What else does it have? Well, based on that, you could say, in fact, it's an operating system. I've just used the same syntax that I would describe an operating system.
So I think that's it. You can watch this on your time on this one. But I think we know about OpenClaw when it starts. And actually we do an office hour that we invite Vincent talk about security problem of OpenClaw. We even like release a skill about like AI Safes 2 together with Vincent in order to securing OpenClaw. Ishi have the ability to connect any OpenClaw gateway to secure them and track them and do with that. But OpenClaw now is actually raising to much higher than what we anticipate in the beginning, right? It's becoming an operating system. So it makes me understand like, so where are we fitting? So when big player like Nvidia, Microsoft, Google, everyone is actually jumping on OpenClaw and making it like an operating system, then we need to look at it in a way that it's becoming a standard already, where big player in open source, they make it something that becoming a platform that everyone going to running on. And I think with the ability of OpenClaw, it can access to almost everything. And what is our answer to that? Is AgenticFlow is going to be another OpenClaw wrapper? I don't think so. So what I'm thinking is we are becoming a layer that on top of OpenClaw, where we providing additional capability that you can actually using your OpenClaw to talk to AgenticFlow as a platform. So what we are having an answer, actually, I think some of you already handled this already. So this is AgenticFlow CLI. So this is the answer to OpenClaw. So you can use whatever capability that AgenticFlow currently have in OpenClaw by just installing one package. Just enter this sentence, Pixel ML /AgenticFlow CLI, and then talk to your OpenClaw. Ask it to exploring, because what we are writing in here is we are writing very carefully for the agent to understand. We are writing doctor, we are writing discover, we are writing catalog, and we are even like having some playbook as well. So playbook is kind of like onboarding workflow, but for agent to do. And you can talk to your OpenClaw and ask it to like read the playbook, see what Sean and his team writing in that, and get yourself familiar. And then because OpenClaw can write its all kinds of like knowledge into its file, so over time it's going to start to learn to use AgenticFlow better. And I would suggest that if you are really into this one and you know how to control the security aspect of that, this is a very powerful tool. I'm using that as well for myself. I'm installing a separate MacBook, so I'm trying to secure myself on that. But yeah, great power come with responsibility. And if we would like to using the very powerful tool, we need to be careful. And I believe that this is our answer to OpenClaw. And furthermore, we will making almost every aspect of AgenticFlow to be compatible so that OpenClaw can leverage. And this is not limited into the current capability. You can actually request, we can make it available. And I hope that this is our answer to the trend. And we will continue to improve over time to ensure that the platform stability and how to handle the more frequent requests from OpenClaw type of agent. So think about it like a runtime. And AgenticFlow is a layer on top of that to provide some capability and also layer or visual, because maybe you don't like to have OpenClaw that only answer text, right? So ask it to creating a workflow in AgenticFlow, and then maybe you can review that using our no-code UI. But I would anticipate that maybe 80% of the time that only OpenClaw is going to interact with AgenticFlow as a runtime and platform, and then you can just benefit from that. So I think this is my take on this one. And OpenClaw is right now is really go to mainstream. You really need to rethink a way that you are currently using agent and so on. And yeah, if you have some idea, please let me know, because I'm really kind of like starting to invest my time on this more and seriously. So I actually like using OpenClaw to connect to my MacBook and also let it control cloud code and so on to do some development and also R&D. So I think I'm just trying to push in the limit, and yeah, and let's see how this goes. I don't know how this is going to take on, but I believe that this is an inflection point for us. So yeah, I think I talk a lot on this one. I would like to go to Discord if you have any question. Yeah, we have some echo. Anyway, so I hope that so I have this one. So this is guy is my OpenClaw, and I have here, and even my wife is having this one. So I'm going to my OpenClaw now. You can see. Sorry. Yes. So I'm the team of OpenClaw now. For my personal, I'm still need to figure out how can I make some use of that, and how can we support OpenClaw types of agent better. I don't know, to be honest, but I will kind of like seriously pushing forward for this kinds of agent and making our platform compatible with that, because that's going to mainstream, right? So even NVIDIA is jumping into the mainstream, then why don't we? Yeah. So I think that's all I would like to share. Yeah, thanks. I catch it from my wife. This one is also from her. This one from my wife really like this stuff. Yeah, so I think that's it. That's it for today. So summarize. So we add 46 skill in Pixel ML. You definitely should come and take a look. I will drop this file into Discord. So you can type. I also drop it into YouTube as well, if you would like to have a look. Form and everything that you would like. Yeah, try 46 skill, right? So is it kind of like 26 additional comparing to previously? And even myself, I haven't tried all of the skill, but I find the slide deck is the most useful for me, because these days I need to do a lot of kinds of like proposal for different enterprise and so on, for deploying agent to them and AgenticFlow. So this is useful for me, and visual presentation is really a good skill that I think right now we can upload to our agent, and then that's really helpful. All right, good. So if no other question, I think we'll stop here today, and we'll see you in end of iteration. So which is maybe 31st of August or of March. So in around 2 weeks. All right. So thanks everyone. Have a good day. Bye from OpenClaw.